Hello, everybody. I am really thrilled to have you here today. We have a tremendous guest on the line. Of course, my partner there with a big smile, Sam Gurevich out in Utah, Dave Warren out in Utah, Dr. Bill Hennen out in Utah, and I guess I'm the sole East Coast representative here in Philadelphia, Kevin O'Connor. And I go way back with Dr. Hennen. Dr. Hennen is known as the father of transfer factor. And we met, I think it was right around 97, 98. Is that right, Dr. Hennen?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. And we had so much success around his original products. And we're thrilled that he made a decision along with his partner, Dave Warren, to bring his technology, bring his science, bring his decades of experience to be epic in a product called Immunocode. And so there are going to be lots of videos that tell you the details behind Immunocode, behind how the product works, the ingredients. We kind of wanted to take a little different tact in this particular call because it's kind of like old home week, having the opportunity to work with not only Dr. Hennen, but Dave Warren as well. And Dave is somebody with a tremendous managerial background, marketing background in the network marketing industry. And so they work together to produce really cutting edge products for the industry. But I would proudly say that probably the best cutting edge product is the one right here, Immunocode. And Dr. Hennen, I saw firsthand the power of your immune-based products. I and my family have been using them since we met in '97, and the many generations of products that you've created since that time. And I happen to know, although nobody can see him because you're there, but we've got a young man behind you named Nicozzi. And
back yeah, when, let me step out of the way here.
Yeah, and please fill in the story for me. But Nicozzi was born. His mother had AIDS. He was born with AIDS, orphaned. A woman. This is way back in the that time when we first started working together. Had essentially an orphanage for AIDS children, and Dr. Hennen worked very closely with them in terms of the immune science and really beefing up these kids' immune systems. And Nicozzi became a spokesperson at this tender young age for children with AIDS. And I mention that because there's two factors here that we really want to get across to everybody. The excitement and the power of products, but also the excitement and the potential for us to help people around the world. So Dr. Hennen, I think that's probably a good place to start. And if you don't mind jumping in, maybe fill in the blanks a little bit about Nicozzi and
yeah. Nicozzi Johnson actually did speak at World AIDS Day in South Africa conference, but he also became quite a spokesman for the transfer factor products that I had made at that time. So Nicozzi, I actually had the opportunity to take my son to meet Nicozzi when he and his adoptive mother were here in the United States. And it was so interesting that my son, who at that time was about 14, was asking Nicozzi why he's so happy. And he said, "I'm alive." Because for Nicozzi, it would have been a death sentence. And we were able to give him many years of good health because of that. In fact, the picture that you see here of Nicozzi was followed up later by this bit of African artwork that also came from the orphanage in gratitude for what we had done there. But I'm going to step to the other side and show you this set of pictures that actually was given to me by an elderly Japanese fellow who was just so grateful for the recovered health that he had received in taking products that educated his immune system and gave him a chance to have a much more abundant life. These are some of the some quite rare pictures and very expensive. And one of the things that I would want to stress, and one of the things that is just given Dave and I so much joy in the anticipation of the relationship that we now have with Be Epic, is the opportunity to actually get products from the design phase through production into the hands of people where it can benefit. For us, it's a matter of benefiting as many people as possible. Dave has worked Europe, he's worked the US, he's worked Japan, and we really live for the idea that we're here for a purpose. And each of us have a different purpose. You know, mine is in science, Dave is in marketing and education and management and all of that sort of thing. But I tell you, together, it's been a delight to work as we have and to come up with Immunocode. In fact, if it wasn't for the fact that you have Dan and his willingness to spend the money to make a product of that high quality, we wouldn't have been able to make Immunocode because it would have been too expensive for most companies to market. But because of Dan's commitment, we were able to look at the cutting edge components, the human milk oligosaccharides, and allow transfer factor to do its remarkable functions, but now to do it in combination with the other components that especially the human mother, not necessarily the others, but the human mother puts transfer factors together with things called human milk oligosaccharides, which create that orchestral type of an effect where you have a much broader symphony of sounds and responses in the immune system. And so it's been a delight both to work with Dave and to create this product and to work with Dan and in the design. But all of that, I think, is also reinforced even further by the fact that Kevin, you and Sam and so many of the other people that we've worked with in the past and now it's like a reunion because people are seeing Be Epic as a great vehicle for opportunity. And for us, it's a great vehicle for us to see the benefits that people can have all over the world.
And I love that juxtaposition of, Japan over one shoulder and Africa over the other. Every human on the planet has an immune system. If they don't, they're no longer on the planet, are they?
Yeah.
Or they may be there, but 6 feet under. And that ability to touch the world through our amazing industry is very powerful.
Yeah, I used to say, and I still do, that I design products for myself and my family and share them with others.
Yeah.
And Dave has been deep into that in ways that have been very beneficial. Dave, maybe you want to comment a bit yourself.
Yeah, please.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to. But maybe before I comment on me, I'll comment on you, Dr. Hennen, if that's all right. He's a pretty modest man and, doesn't really like to talk about himself very much. But I'd just like to say what a pleasure it is to work with someone who's not only a PhD in bioorganic and medicinal chemistry with, several postdoctoral specializations, but probably the most brilliant scientists I've had the privilege of working with, and I've worked with a lot, in that he has a very detailed understanding from the workings within the cell to the tissues, the organs, the systems, and the organisms that they form, and the ability to not just be specialized in how one part works, but to integrate the whole into that harmonious orchestra he was talking about, such that you support the overall body and its ability for wellness from within in a natural way, to really vitalize our true capacity for wellness and quality of life, rather than overriding them and imposing, a medicinal solution. And we're not anti-medicine at all, but we just feel like the first resort should be to give your body what it lacks for its own natural wellness. And then let's try those other things if that's not enough. And what better place to start than with the immune system? And what, a privilege we have to all be here with Dr. Hennen, as Kevin referenced, who really is the father of transfer factor immune supplements. which is a category that to our estimation has sold over $4 billion so far and blessed people all around the world. But now some 20 years after, his first breakthrough in giving us that gift, each of us when we're born, we have the gift of having our mothers impart immunity to us through the colostrum in that first milk. And, and yet we can't go back to being babies and keep getting immune infusions. And, and that was kind of a one-time blessing in our lives until Dr. Hennen's breakthrough in making it possible for us with these transfer factors to transfer immunity, to bless and strengthen our systems so that we can continually support that natural wellness from within. And, to transition to, sorry to put you on the spot there, Bill. I know he doesn't like that kind of spotlight, but I think people deserve to know about that because we're the beneficiaries of it, and we want to know that it wasn't some guy in his garage making this product. It was a preeminent scientist recognized across the world and who is highly qualified to make the very, very finest in natural products. And, when I first started out, I thought immunity, when I first started out using Dr. Hennen's products, I thought immunity was just about, colds and flus and things like that. But I've since come to realize that it's really at the foundation of all of our health, and that there's not a thing in our bodies that is not connected to those foundations. And so we're not going to be making health claims. And in fact, I'll just, make it clear right up front, Immunocode doesn't cure anything. It is not a drug. What Immunocode does is to support the natural wellness of the body so that the body can do what it is marvelously intelligent at doing in a natural way. And I didn't realize that at first. So, I was amazed and grateful to get some of the anticipated benefits from that product. But I was also really shocked to see all the other ways that it helped me and my loved ones, and things that we didn't even think there was an answer for. And suddenly, literally, it's like someone's giving you your life back. And, and the quality of life and the energy and the vitality you have to do the things that matter most to you with the people that matter most. That's just, a gift beyond price.
Absolutely.
One of the things, Dave, that we have with the immune system, if it's actually running well, it's kind of like an accountant. If the accountant's doing his job, you don't ever notice him. And if the immune system is doing its job, you don't notice it. And until it doesn't do its job, then you notice it. But one of the things that I know you've done a lot of work on is just getting the awareness present. I remember it's just so funny that, when we first were doing this, I had a guy sneak up to me and he said, well, what's in this? Is it like, do you have cocaine in here? What are you talking about? So I have so much more energy, and that's one of the things that many people will experience before they experience anything else, is just that increased sense of energy. But you've worked a lot on some of that, trying to help people be more aware.
Yeah. You want me to speak to that a little bit? Because, if you take, if you put a cosmetic on your face or take a pain relief, supplement or something like that, you notice a difference immediately. But when things are supporting the natural, core wellness of the body, that's a more systemic and a more gradual impact. And so many times it goes unnoticed and unappreciated for a number of reasons. And I won't go into a lot of detail, but I'll just say there's gradualization, normalization, and prioritization at work that's, helpful for us who use your products to understand. The gradualization is we see the immune system improvements gradually. It's not like a hammer, hitting your thumb. It's something, and if you pay attention to it, you see astounding things, but we have to adjust our mindset to that. There's also the normalization factor, because even if great improvements are made, most people either don't notice them or soon forget them, because we have this human tendency to forget what our condition used to be and to immediately adjust to our wonderful new condition and think that's normal and forget that it wasn't always that way. And then the last one is prioritization. When you don't have a drug effect, but rather you're supporting the body's natural function, what happens is the body prioritizes its recovery according to each person's unique needs. So the changes and the timing of those changes that we experience are different for each person. And as a result of these three factors, we commonly hear such statements as Dr. Hennen referenced, where someone will say, well, how do I know if it's working? Because I no longer have issues. And we're like, well, that's the point.
There you go.
That's the point. But what we can do to get specific is we can make a baseline measurement of where we are before we start using the product. And then we can update that measurement as we go, say on a weekly basis. And, each person could do this on their own, but we've even, made, together with BeEpic, a little form that makes it really easy for a person to do their own diagnostic, and what better biometric to see your progress than your own body, and your own well-being. And so people can make a simple diagnostic and assess where they're at, and then just check up on that. So what would you do? In the beginning, you'd just sit down and make a list of every niggling ailment that you might have, the things you don't even pay attention to because you forget, that, or you never even imagined there might be an alternative. We just get used to those, issues, but write down every little niggling ailment you might have before you start taking the product. Give yourself a week, take some time and think through that. And, even say, well, what's different now than how I was 10 or 20 years ago? Or if I went to a doctor, who had magical powers to fix anything, what things would I tell him? Or, just ask your spouse, but put together the best list you can, and then rate each one of those on a scale of 0 to 10 on your, your level of well-being. And then once a week for maybe a minute, just go through that really quickly and update the scale. On is this a 0 or a 10, or where is it in between? Where am I at? And what you'll notice over time is that things you never imagined were connected to your immune system, the needle will start to move. And it will happen in the unique way that your body prioritizes for your health. And if you're like me, you might even ignore a lot of those things. You'd go, I'm sure that has nothing to do with this. That was just a coincidence. But over time, you'll see these trends if you're doing it every week for, say, 3 months or 6 months. And then if you stop using the product, which I did for a while, you'll see a lot of those things returning to their previous conditions, and you'll go, oh, I don't want to go back there. And, and that reminds you of the benefit you're getting. It helps you to objectively see what's going on. And it also gives you something as a basis for sharing your experience with others. So that's something that we would recommend.
Yeah, I'd like to jump on that last issue that you brought up there, Dave, is sharing your experience, because for me in the past, when individuals who have taken the product have sent me their experiences, some people call them testimonials, you can call it whatever you like, but that has been such an incredible help to me to understand, in fact, to be where we are today is because of not only the scientists who've been working in labs all over the world, but also the individuals who have been taking the product in their environment across so many different conditions and so many different environments. And that has enriched our understanding of how the immune system works, how people respond, what kinds of things we might do to do the next generation of product. This product, in fact, if you look at it, I've been working on the immune system for 36 years. I've been working in transfer factor now since 97. Right, since 97, so that's another 30 some odd years. So what, I guess 24 years. What we're looking at in this generation is we are now on the 14th generation, because science keeps moving forward. The old products were good. I mean, in their day, they were great. But it's kind of like a telephone, the cell phone of 20 years ago doesn't cut it in today's environment. And, still a functional unit, if you will, but we know so much more. And that's really what's happened in this 14th generation is we've been able to take the latest of the science, in fact, the stuff that's actually out of reach economically, except for the fact of BeEpic's commitment to bring the very best to the market as quickly as possible. And so we're very grateful to BeEpic for that kind of support, and invite all of you who use the product to send us your experiences. The joy that Dave and I have is the knowing that what we're doing is doing good. And I'm hoping that for many of you, you'll be able to have some of these kinds of experiences. We'll where people will be just so grateful to you for giving them the opportunity to live life in a much more full existence. In fact, you know, Kevin and Sam have been a major contribution to understanding of things and promoting of things that would allow me to better understand what's happening on the ground with the people. And so again, my gratitude goes to all of you, Sam, Dave, Kevin, for all that you've done to make my career one of joy and fulfillment.
Well, thank you for that. And Sam, let's chat for a second with these gentlemen. For some odd reason, the immune system's on everybody's mind these days. Wonder what that could be. Pandemic, etc. I think there's never been a more important time for people, you know, are paying attention. And there's a lot of confusion out there. Do I just go get some zinc? Do I just do some vitamin C? Do I get more vitamin D? You know, people don't know what to do. And I think, Dave, you put your finger on it for me, and that is that the Immunocode is meant to be the systemic product that's supporting multiple body systems, because the immune system is supporting many systems, correct?
Right.
Yeah. So Sam, take a second from a point of view of somebody who has built teams all over the world. What does a product like this mean to you?
Well, to me, you know, every time I start thinking about what it does, I become, you know, I feel very, very humble because of the size of the effect it does for people around the world. I've been working with this product since
95.
Yeah, 95. And,
Yeah.
It's been a long time. And so I know what this product did. And we all know what it did. We know what it will do. And it's just, you know, I get emotional even by thinking, because every time you start thinking, you start remember hundreds and thousands of people talking about it, how it changed their lives, how it changed their families. And it's just becoming a very humble experience. And I want to ask you, Dr. Bill, a question. I know you since 95 or 96, and you're the most humblest person I have ever seen. I'm truly, sincerely saying that. How does it make you feel knowing that your creation that actually changed probably millions, if not billions, because we don't know how many people share with people by now, it could be into billions, how people change their lives, families, health, other things that your creation have allowed them to do. And that is going to be taken into the next level, and it's going to, and our job and the job of every one of our colleagues all over the world and all the BFIC distributors to bring this to the world again. How does it make you feel?
That's a, let me preface that with a story. When I came home early in our marriage and told my wife, I got a patent. And she said, well, what does that mean? Well, it means I invented something. And I said, okay. Did God know that before you did? And I said, yeah. And he said, so what you did is you discovered it. You didn't create it. And so I've been, you know, my wife has kept me pretty humble all of my life, you know. And really what it amounts to, you know, is that, I'll give you one other quote. You know, there's Sir Francis Bacon, one of the elite scientists of all time, made the statement that nature, in order to be controlled, must be obeyed. And it's really the role of a scientist to be very obedient and very observant And that's why I referred to earlier, that if people send me their observations, it broadens my mind, it broadens my vision, and gives me much more information to work with. But how it makes me feel, it makes me feel, some people have a job and some people have a profession, a calling, if you will. And that's what that feels like to me. As a chemist, I could work on plastics, but that would have no joy for me. I mean, it might feed my family and that would be wonderful, but being able to be in a profession and a calling, if you will, that allows me to go reach all the way back. I was born and raised on a farm, and life, death, health, and sickness have been part of my experience from as far back as I can remember. And what always amazed me is not that people get sick, because we live in a very hostile environment. Kevin just referred to just how hostile that environment can be. But what amazed me is who doesn't get sick, who survives, what is their key? And one of the things that we're seeing, especially in the current situation, is that young people seem to go through it without any problem at all. But as you watch the immune system drop with age, you see people having more and more problems. And so the ability that we have to regain that immune strength is actually very critical. In fact, Kevin, you and I in one of our past associations with Sam also worked on the idea that it isn't your chronological age that matters, it's your biological age that matters.
Right.
And the immune system is what ages before the rest of the body ages. So if you keep the immune system young, then the rest of the body is able to function, is able to spare that energy up into repair and to detoxification and eventually into that productive function that makes people feel like they've gotten, some kind of a stimulant instead of an immune product, because all that energy that used to be just used up to just maintain kind of a stalemate with all these conditions we're dealing with. And Dave, you got some statistics on that, don't you, as far as conditions that people are dealing with?
Yeah, but it's hard to keep up because they're constantly changing. Unfortunately, the trends in global wellness are deteriorating significantly, even while science is advancing in our advanced nations. And so, just a relatively few years ago, when we were first looking at this, just short of 50% of Americans, and that's Americans of all ages, so that includes our young children, but just under 50% had at least one chronic health condition that they were dealing with every day, and about 25% had two or more. In the last, I think it's 7 years, those numbers have gone up substantially. And, now it's north of 60% that have more than, or that have a chronic condition, and significantly more, than the 25% who have two. And one study I saw said that over 80% have a chronic condition, so science in general, and, and advanced civilizations in general, and we're not just talking the US, it's in Europe, it's in Asia, it's a global, increasingly a global condition that with the stresses of modern lifestyles and, and all of the other factors, such as the one Kevin referenced that we're dealing with lately, have combined to our overall, we're doing worse. And therefore, we need to be smart and we need to help ourselves if we're going to have those full and fulfilling lives that we should.
Well, as we kind of bring this to a close, one of the things that I'm thinking about is, in a lot of network marketing companies, they price their product to the distributor's qualification, if you will. And so you end up with these products that are really not priced to the marketplace, but they may be superior, they may be of higher quality. But one of the things that Be Epic has chosen to do is to keep prices really geared to the marketplace. I think sometimes in our industry, companies take the attitude of, you are really privileged to take our product. You are privileged to have that. Whereas the rest of the world says, no, you're really privileged that I'm pulling out my credit card and buying your product. And I think,
Right.
you know, that what the effect of that is it allows you, Dave, you, Dr. Hennen, to fulfill your mission, because more people then can get the product. and because it's affordable. And if they want to refer people, customers, etc., they can literally get the product for zero cost. So we're excited to be taking this to the world once again and talk about privilege. It's such a privilege to work with you, Dave. Dr. Hennen, as I said, we go way back, and you know, the opportunity to work together is really spectacular and life-changing. And we invite people that get to see this to join us in that mission.
100%. It's a big honor, as always, as it has been since 95, 96. And it's always a pleasure. It's a humbling experience to work with you guys. And Dave, your background in business is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I hope people will get to know you. I think you bring a lot of value in that experience into this picture. And it's a priceless background. And I think everybody will absolutely benefit. And we see a tremendous trip, not a trip, but a
Journey.
trek.
A journey.
Journey. Thank you, Kevin. A tremendous journey that is about to embark the whole world. And we're very, very excited and humbled by the whole experience.
We are too. And I don't want to put it in the last word here, but I just feel compelled to say that, we've worked so hard to be able to fulfill that mission that you've both referenced to, bring life-changing, even life-saving natural products to those that we love and care about. And there's nothing more satisfying at the end of the day than making that difference. But as we looked at who we would wish to partner with, who would have the strengths to be able to take that to the whole world in the most effective way, person to person, heart to heart, Be Epic, was the only partner. And we're just so delighted and so honored to work with all of you at Be Epic, and really looking forward to this journey.
Perfect. Thank you so much, guys.